Hi everyone. So today I'm with Kaci, one of our traders that has actually successfully passed the boot camp, gone from 25K, 50K, and 75K, and actually even passed onto the 125 from her funded account that she got earlier. So Kaci, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So if you can just tell everybody that they don't know who you are at the moment, but they should know who you are because you're a very good trader. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, of your background, your process? Who's Kaci?
Okay. I am from the United States, a city called Detroit in Michigan. And I was introduced to trading probably about almost 6 years ago. And I was introduced through an MLM. I won't name who it is, but I'm sure everybody knows.
Who it is. Yeah, the typical
Yeah.
one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was interested, but I didn't take it super seriously. I was in school at the time, in grad school. I was also working full time, and so I fit it in whenever I could. And then just before the pandemic, I got really, really, really serious because I began to understand the power of leverage and the power of compounding. And I had a real conversation with myself, like, where else am I going to be able to potentially earn this type of money, legit? And so I began to work on a strategy that would work for me. And working full time, I couldn't be glued to the computer or my phone. And so I needed to come up with something that would allow me to enter trades. I use a lot of limits and stops to get in, and trading at reasonable lot sizes, so I wouldn't blow the account if the trade went bad, if one trade went bad. So I kind of came up with that system, and then things just started to get a little better as I started to take things more seriously. And so each week I sit down and I mark up. I try to go through 26 pairs. Sometimes I don't make them all, but just for the muscle. Just for the muscle memory and the practice, that's how I was able to start to get a little bit better and more consistent at trading.
When you were going through, obviously, that first initial learning that we all do, and there's actually been quite a lot of really good traders come out the same was it the LMM or however it is called?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of traders that have come out of it, and they're actually pretty good as well. So something must have gone right with whatever was happening over there. But I know a lot of traders that have come from the same kind of journey.
Yeah.
But from that initial, obviously, learning how the markets work and learning what you like trading, how did you get to the stage you're at now where you actually found consistency and you actually became profitable?
Well, I use and I don't want to call it a strategy, but I guess it is. It's a strategy that I use fibs. And so I'm a heavily based fib trader. And so I use a system called Smart Trader. And they have proprietary smart tools that kind of help eliminate human error from laying out the fibs and figuring out where to get in, where to get out. But once I understood market structure, once I understood that combined with the Fibonacci tool, that's when I began to see consistency. So the strategy that I use, I trade reversals, and then I also trade just with the trend as well. And I know a lot of people don't like trading reversals, but I feel like you can make money in the market no matter where it's going, as long as you understand where you are and where you need to get out. And so what we use is called the 80-20. And basically what I've found is that when price has a shallow retracement, so at the 23.6 level, when it pulls back less than 38.2, we see it stall out at the 118, 127, and typically it'll go back to the 38.2 at least before it continues up and hits the 618D extension. So that's what I've been using. It doesn't always work, but it's called 80-20 because majority of the time it plays out that way. And 20% of the time it doesn't.
That's amazing. I love fibs as well. Some of my friends as well, the scruffy trader Gary Langley, he's also a fib trader.
Okay.
I always wait for pullbacks onto the 50 or 618, and then
it's the best thing ever.
I love it. It just works. I don't know.
Yeah.
the magic numbers, the magic lines.
Yeah.
It just works. But fantastic. So then you started building up the confidence and you started making like profits. How did
Oh,
you get
yeah.
to the prop trading industry? What was that about?
So I actually was introduced through some former mentors and partners that I had into prop trading. I knew nothing about it.
Mhm.
I was just amazed at the fact that, and I didn't even talk about this, but I had an account that was like $150 and I was seeing everybody flipping accounts and I'm like, I want to do
Yeah.
this. How do I do it? So
Yeah.
I successfully flipped the account to just under 5 figures in like 3 weeks, but it wasn't
Wow.
sustainable. Right. So in 3 weeks, I built that account up, but then in 3 days, I blew it up. So,
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, if I can do this with $150, once they introduce me to prop firm and that you have more access to more capital, it's like, if I can do that with this, what can I do with a bigger account?
Yeah.
So I got the confidence, I will say, after building that account, even though I blew it up, it was
Yeah.
just like, wow, I proved to myself that it's possible, one.
Yeah.
And then that gave me the confidence to be able to continue to pursue it and really stick to it.
Mhm. It's crazy how you can just suddenly you've got an account and then it goes 6 times and you see
Yeah,
you can make it is a game changer. It's quite a
it
little
is.
a pivot from where you think trading and then obviously you can make so much money, but
Yeah.
it also comes with its struggles. It's not hard, it's not easy to actually be a consistent trader. So how do
No.
you kind of get over the struggles of every kind of trader has, like, risk management
Yeah.
or discipline, revenge trading that I told you earlier that I have a problem with
Yeah.
revenge
Yeah.
trading. How did you get over those things to continue being consistent?
So I will say that revenge trading still creeps up on me too.
Yeah.
Like I explained to the community that I'm a part of that I'm still human. I still
Yeah.
make mistakes and I still have some of the same struggles that they go through. What I've learned is that when I have a trade that does not go right, I
Mm,
need to step away, back away, leave it alone, and then come back later. And
mhm.
sometimes that's hard to do because when I have an idea or I have an analysis that I think is going to go right, like
Yeah.
that's when I usually, end up messing up because I'm not allowing space for it to go bad. Right.
Mhm.
So, as far as risk management, I built myself a calculator, I think on the first time that I was testing with you guys.
Mhm.
And it's crazy because when I first started trading, nobody talked to me about risk management. Nobody talked to me
Wow.
about
Even
anything.
in the courses or mentors, they didn't go into that.
No, no,
Really?
no.
Wow.
And I think that should be at the forefront of
100%.
everyone's trading plan. Like if you understand risk management and you're disciplined enough to stay with it, like it makes
Yeah.
all the world of difference in your trading.
Mhm.
So once I had that tool and I was able to go plug in like my setup, and I
Yeah.
figured out that, your position size should be based on the desired risk and the amount of pips in your stop loss. Then
Yeah.
I was able to go and, consistently see better results than what I was seeing before.
Position sizing your trade correctly is extremely important. That's something that we find as well with a lot of bootcamp traders, because the bootcamp was originally designed for beginner traders because they
Okay.
wanted to obviously allow traders to start on a demo and build their confidence up over a long period of time and then get funded.
Okay.
Obviously, you've got more experienced traders now trading it as well. So, but that was the original idea. And some of the first things that I had to help with a lot of people is position sizing, because people
Yeah.
would put 1 or 2 lots on. It didn't matter where the stop loss was, and they could be obviously risking a lot more than they want to actually lose. And then that obviously
Right.
turns into overexposing and then revenge trading
Yep.
and a feeling of you're not doing it correctly. And it actually has a lot of hit on your confidence where you could
Yes.
be right, but
Yes.
because the position is wrong, it can really take you off the whole of your game. It's an
Absolutely.
important thing.
Absolutely.
Um, so fantastic. And your mentors, do you think it's important then to have a mentor or like a community or a course or anything before you get into trading, or?
Yeah, I would say so because I started working with my former mentor
Hmm.
probably 2 years into trading,
Yeah.
and he kind of filled in the pieces that I was missing. And so it also gave me someone to be accountable to.
Yeah.
When you get into this, there were a lot of times I was like, I'm done, right? I've blown up this demo account again.
Yeah.
I'm never going to figure this out. And then you have somebody who's like, just stick with it. Come on, pull you
Yeah.
along the way. And so that was very helpful. And then, of course, the fact that he had more experience than I did and he
Mhm.
could show me some things. So that was helpful too. But I will say the technical part, I don't want to say it's easy, but for me, I picked it up faster. The
Yeah.
technical part, it was the accountability, the motivation, and those intangible things that kind of, to me, were most valuable from that mentorship relationship.
So you feel like it's more of the emotional side of trading, and the discipline is a lot harder than obviously the technical.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. It was a
Absolutely.
loaded question. I knew it anyway though. Well, it goes without
Yeah.
saying, really. And
Yeah.
how did you pick your mentor then? Because in a world, you go on Twitter and everybody's an amazing
Yeah.
trader, YouTube, there is so much to choose from. How did you go about finding somebody that was actually good and could help you with getting to your goals? Because that's a hard thing to do in itself as well.
Right. Well, for me, initially, I was interested in what I saw. People were posting screenshots of the MT4 profit
Yeah.
screen, right? So that drew my initial interest. But as I got involved and as I began to understand, the money wasn't necessarily the driver anymore. It was who actually knows and understands this skill set and who
Mhm.
can teach me that. And so my mentor and I were friends on Facebook, and
Mhm.
I would see him post his charts, and all he would post was his charts and the pips. He wouldn't post money. And so I'm like, okay, this guy is like really serious.
Yeah.
So I reached out and started asking questions, and we began a routine where we would meet on the weekends via Zoom, and he would help me out with my technical analysis.
Nice. Great stuff.
Yeah,
So obviously do the research on whoever you're trading, whoever you're looking
absolutely.
at.
I will
Yeah.
also say, I forgot to say this. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Um, Given the lifestyle that I had, so going to school full time,
Mhm.
working full time, and trying to trade, I looked and saw that he was a swing trader. And
Yeah.
so that matched with my lifestyle. And I think a lot of people may not be successful or may not see the growth that they want to see because how they're trying to trade doesn't match with what
Their
their
lifestyle,
lifestyle allows.
personality. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
agree.
yeah. So that was really, really key. Like I can't be a scalper. Not only is my lifestyle not it's not fitting for that, my makeup, I would just be like on edge all the time. I have anxiety. That would drive me insane.
Yeah.
But for somebody like my cousin who is funded through a different company, he scalps all day and
Yeah.
it doesn't bother him. But knowing who I am, that's not gonna work for me.
Yeah. I must say I'm also a little bit, I wouldn't say impatient, but I prefer like intraday trades or scalping
Okay.
and things like that because I don't want to wait that long for a trade. I want to be in and out by the end of the day. So it
Yeah.
is so important to find the right type of techniques for you as a person. So we probably had to cut a little bit out because we had a little bit of a technical issue, but we'll carry on from where we left off. We had loads of little golden nuggets and things that we mentioned in the last one. Before we continue, and I know you've got an analysis and kind of a methodology that you would like to show everybody, maybe I'll just jump onto your dashboards and we can start off by looking through some of the progress you made in the bootcamp and also in that first 100K funded account.
Okay.
So I'll share the screen and we can go over just very briefly the account. Yeah, so this was your boot camp. So we only see actually the last level of the boot camp account. But you must have made this was a really nice, you've won a roll pretty much, I think,
Yeah.
throughout your boot camp. What was your methodology going in as risk management or many different things going through the bootcamp, because it is there for beginner traders, but we have a lot of experienced traders do it as well. And you kind of breezed through it very easily. So what was your methodology? How was the risk? All of those different things.
Well, my idea was, because I did take a boot camp that I did not pass the second one on. And I think I went in way too aggressively to start. So I like to build just a little bit of a cushion before taking a more aggressive position. That way I'm not digging myself out of a huge hole. And so that's what I attempted to do on this one. And then I saw an opportunity, which was opposite of my initial analysis on USD JPY, I believe it was. And I kind of went heavy on it. I think I had 3 positions at $15 a pip that allowed me to kind of catapult my equity in the account.
So this was this position, I take it.
Yep.
Fantastic. So what was your thoughts behind, obviously you had an initial analysis and then you just cut and then just decided to go the other way around. Now that's quite hard for a lot of people to do, especially when you're like right and you've got that tunnel vision on you want to be right and you've got that tunnel vision on a specific trade. You didn't have that with this position. Why is that?
I think the important thing is trading what you see. So even though I had an idea in my mind of what I thought was going to happen, like price was printing right in front of me, the setup was playing out right in front of me. So at that point, my ego wasn't attached to my analysis and me having to be right. It was, okay, I see an opportunity. Let me cut my loss and let me execute on this. So the main thing is just being able to separate like emotion from being married to having to be right or wrong. Is just taking advantage of what the market is giving you.
Amazing. And you have no violations as well. Now the boot camp, you have a maximum of like 5 violations throughout 3 levels. And for some people, they love this. They love having that kind of that there to keep them in the guidelines and keep them trading, in line with the program. Other people think it's a hindrance. What do you feel about like the violations on the account or having kind of rules to help you be consistent? How did you feel? Did they hinder you or did they help you in any kind of way?
No, I think it's helpful. Like as much as like I guess I'll say I'm kind of like a person who doesn't necessarily like structure, but I understand the benefit that it gives me in life and in trading. When you have the parameters under which to operate, it kind of is the I want to say like the pathway to success, even though you might not like it, you might be fighting it all the way through, is there for your benefit. Right. So I don't think there are enough people in the trading space who have enough discipline on their own to be given the freedom to do what they need to do in the account to make it go. So having those rules in place are kind of like a guide.
Nice. And there you go. You've got your average trade duration about 4 hours. You've got a really nice expectancy and your profit factors really high as well. So overall, you did a really good job on that account.
Thank
you. This was your funded account. So a lot of people that I see, because I speak to a lot of people day in, day out, especially when it comes to support and technical analysis of a specific person's account or anything like that. When traders first get past the boot camp, and especially with newer traders, and they get funded, they're really excited. And when they're really excited, it tends to go into over risking. And when over risking tends to occur, then you revenge trade and then you blow it. It's a typical cycle. Now, you've had a really good upwards momentum, so I'm sure you're really confident. And then obviously you had quite a big dip here. Can you tell me around this area what your mindset was like and how you coped with those maybe couple of days of drawdown to eventually just get it back, all of it back, and then some, basically?
Just what you explained, that, you
Yeah.
know, past the funded account, you feeling yourself a little bit and doing a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And then I had to sober up and kind of think about the opportunity that I'd been given and all the hard work that I had done to
Yeah.
get to this point, and just went back to the basics. So going back to the basics, getting my mind right again, is what I think allowed me to be able to see clearly to get back on track.
Yeah. And you didn't go on, I don't know, did you go on tilt a little bit? Did you feel that kind of a little bit? No, you didn't go on tilt. You're too cool for that. Fair play.
No, you mean when I had that big loss?
When you're having those big, yeah, there's a couple of days of drawdown, because of
Oh
some people,
yeah.
it really does take you off. You start questioning yourself. You start,
Yes,
am I
absolutely.
even worth this? Am I even
Oh,
good
I
at
went through all
trading?
of that.
Yeah.
I went through all of that. Like maybe it was a fluke. Maybe, you know, I'm not that good of a trader.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff, doubt starts to creep into your mind and everything. But I think it's really important just to take a step back and just reevaluate, and get out of your head and get out of your emotions, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trading, it can be the easiest and the hardest thing at the same time.
absolutely.
It is, and it really takes its toll on your emotions as well.
A-
But it is so rewarding
Absolutely.
at the same time. It's incredible.
And that's what I mentioned in the I don't know if that part was gonna get cut, but what I tell people all the time is that the easiest part is like finding the setups. The hardest part is managing your emotions.
Yeah, yeah,
That'll be, and I'm 6 years in now, and I
yeah,
still have times, you know, where my emotions get the best of me. And I realize that, you know, my best trading is when I'm not emotionally involved in the trade. My worst trading, and I can see it, my worst trading is when I'm like just a mess emotionally. And even I think I made a post on Facebook the other day where I was talking about just this year overall, my trading has been much, much, much better than it was last year. And
mm,
it's because I had some other areas in my life that weren't where I needed them to be. Emotionally, I
yeah,
was not in a good space, and it
yeah.
affected my trading. And I didn't realize how much it was affecting my trading. But when I got to a better place in those areas as well, like everything just started to improve, even the trading.
It's so interesting how that is. I
Yeah.
tend, when I start, leaving a little bit of rubbish, like in the car, my car's a little bit dirty, or
Yeah.
my desk's a little bit dirty, suddenly my trading comes a little bit dirty as well. It's not
Yeah.
great. And I tell you what, the amount of profits that I've probably lost from cutting trades too early because I don't want to lose, or
Yeah.
the amount that I'm like, oh, it's so close to my take profit. You know what? I'm just going to close it here, and then
I
it goes straight to the take profit.
yeah.
It's sometimes micromanage. That's why I'm trying to get into the habit as well, is like kind of set and forget. If that's going to be my invalidation point, then I'm going to just leave it there. But it's that wrestle with yourself as well, not to be in. Maybe for you it's a little bit different because you're more of a swinger type, but for me, always being in front of it, I'm always trying to play with the position, which is sometimes better to not let that
That's
happen.
when I do bad. That's when I do bad. But I
Yeah,
think understanding like when I really abide by my rules and I go in with a set amount of risk, I know up front what I stand to lose,
yeah,
then like my anxiety is not all over the place. I don't play with the position or jump in, jump out, you know, but when I know that I'm a little bit over leveraged, I know that I could potentially lose the account, then I'm babysitting and I'm making things worse than what they would have been if I just let it, you know, let it ride out.
yeah, yeah. It's one of those I can kind of relate to. So so I know you've got kind of like a little bit of an analysis. I'll let you take over now and show
Okay.
a little bit about your methodology of how you look for different types of setups. Now we know when things are getting serious, guys, when Kaci put the glasses on.
I had to put on my glasses so I can see. Can you see it?
Yeah,
Okay. So I use Smart Trader, and in Smart Trader, they have a proprietary smart tools. And so the smart tools include like the smart trend line, smart support, smart resistance. And what that basically means is that you can go into the system, you can click smart support, and it'll show you all the levels of support on this time frame. And so
nice.
what I do is I go in and I do it by hand first. just for practice, because there have been times that the system has been down and I haven't been able to access it, and I have to go over to TradingView. But
Yeah.
I go in, I do it by hand, and then I double check, what I've done to make sure that's what the system matches up with. So here is an NZD USD trade, and I've activated the smart fibs, which I really, really like because it takes the human error out of placing the fibs. I think that's what a lot of traders run into. Where do I put this? How do I measure? And sometimes they draw the fib too large or too big, and it's for trades that, are going to take forever to happen. So I really like that. So this is highlighted because it's the active fib. And what I saw on this setup, it's on the 4-hour. We have our A high, our B low. And before I even get there, I use a combined retracement and extension tool. So I learned about Fibonacci, and I only learned about these levels first. And I'm like, okay, this shows you entry, but how do I know when to get out? And so these outside of that AB boundary tell you where to get out, and they're color coded because theoretically, if price pulls back to one of these red levels, then theoretically you would anticipate it's going to take profit at that red extension. Or if it pulls back to the blue or green, it's going to take profit at that blue or green extension. There are some nuances with that though. Like this is the setup where nuance. So we have our A high, our B low. We have less than a 38.2 pullback. So I know it's really hard to see, but this is where price it didn't hit it. So that's a weekly resistance point that was formed. And so what we saw here was that price stalled out at the 118.127, and there's also a 4-hour level of support. And so I drew my trend lines looking for a potential buy opportunity. I was able to get in right here. And so my thought is that at the minimum, we're going to see price hit that 38.2 and then potentially come down, or it may even pull back further to the 618 before we see it come down. So I trade the reversal on the way up. I only trade to the 38.2 because I've seen it happen where price reacts aggressively off of that level. But if it goes farther, then I just wait for the sell confirmation, and then I take the sell down too. So there's really 2 moves in one. I think total on this setup, this is 100 pips to the 38.2. And then if it plays off of this 38.2, then to that sale point, that D extension is 145 pips. So that's really like 200 something pips, up for grabs.
Amazing. And is there any kind of pattern or any kind of trigger that you want to see? Because obviously you've got those levels there. You've got a fib level on a weekly, resistance. You've already had 2 touches. So 3, it could even go to 4 in the long term. What do you want to see on the lower time frames for you to say, okay, that's it, I'm taking the short? Is it like a break of market structure? Is it a candle? Is it a certain level? Or
So I typically look for a break on the 15-minute. So if I get a swing low, like my entry should have been here, but I was pretty confident in this. So if I get a break above structure and a backside retest of the trend line and a swing low, I'm executing right away, because this tells me that we're on our way up. So a swing low is, just a 5 candle formation with a low center candle, 2 to the left that are higher, 2 to the right that are higher. And then I've got all the other confirmation, the stall out at the 118.127. We're at a 4-hour level of support. We got the break, backside retest. Then it's time to execute and go in.
Nice. Really clean.
Yeah.
Kind of roughly the kind of thing that I look for as well. So it's really nice to see.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's easy to come up with the ideas because you've seen these patterns and you've seen the way the market moves so many different times.
Right.
Executing on it and making sure, because some people, they would have seen that first like swing up to upwards, and then when it came back to retest that same area, they may think it was going to break that prior level. Lower high, and then they were like, okay, that's it, that's I'm going to get out early because I know it's going to go down. I want to break even instead of letting it go down to my stop loss. And then it would have shot straight back up. And then they would have,
you would have been mad.
banging names, like, oh, that could have been a,
Yeah.
you know. So it's a nice clean setup, and if you can execute it well, which you have done, I think yeah, that's what you've shown in the boot camp anyway, that you're very good at execution. Perfect. Now, for somebody who is looking to start in their trading journey in like a prop firm,
Yep.
what would you kind of recommend for them? Would you I know we talked about mentors and communities and things like that before, but let's say if you had all your time again and you were coming into the prop firm and industry, what would you kind of want to hold the lessons to get through successfully?
First and foremost, understanding risk management, understanding position sizing. But even before that, finding a mentor that trades like you, finding a good source of education. I think a lot of people waste money and buy into hype, if you will say, and not necessarily be focused on the actual process, and more so focused with the end result. So and I'm not trying to down anybody, but I think for me, when I first got started, I saw all the shiny things on YouTube, all of, the hype, and bought into that and didn't pay as much attention as to the process in order to get to that type of success. So I think people have to be very discerning about the people that they learn from, and then making sure that they identify someone who trades like them, so that they can learn their strategy. But risk management, because that's the biggest thing with the prop firm. Like the first time I tested, it was with a different company. I had no idea how to position, how to choose my position sizes, blew up the account. And I think that it was like $400 or $500, so in a matter of 2 days, I lost that money. So understanding that, and then having a process and a plan and a strategy that they're confident in, and executing and moving forward with.
Amazing. And where can people find you? I've loved talking to you, and I'm sure a lot of people would love listening to you as well. I know you've got a YouTube and a community and things. Where can they find you?
So I am on YouTube, and it's just my name, Kaci Jackson. People can also connect with me on Instagram, same thing, Kaci Jackson _. And then I have a community on Facebook where we do some light training there, and you can go and get there by going to www.theprofitplay.co.
Amazing. Well, we'll leave it there. You've given enough away. So and we'll speak soon. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you for having me again.